Welcome, everyone. My name is Trevor Outman, owner, co-founder, and president of Shipware. I want to say thank you to all the attendees for joining me today. Now, if you do any shipping with UPS, FedEx, USPS, regional carriers, or even the LTL carriers, then this webinar is for you. Because what I'm about to share with you is certainly already impacting you. Now, this webinar is especially for you if you play a role in keeping your company's overall shipping costs as low as possible. If that's you, then you're in the right place at the right time. I'd like to arm you with some incredibly valuable information that will enable you to reduce your parcel and LTL shipping costs by anywhere from 10 to 30%. This cost savings comes without disrupting any of your current operations. Now, really, this could set you up to be on the receiving end of accolades from your company. So during this webinar, I'd like to share some content with you and discuss why 9 out of 10 shippers are overspending, what your carrier rep doesn't want you to know, and more importantly, why. We'll also talk about carrier negotiation mistakes and pitfalls to avoid. So a little bit about me and context for what we're going to talk about today. As some background, it was in the early 2000s that I discovered the relationship imbalance between the carriers and shippers. I realized carriers were in large part taking advantage of shippers, thus the creation of my company Shipware, which was developed with the passion and purpose of being a dedicated advocate for shippers like yourself. Focus on leveling the playing field between shippers and carriers, creating a more balanced relationship where it's truly a win-win, because the service the carriers deliver is important, but so is the price that you pay. And to help companies reduce shipping costs, we started by developing proprietary technology to audit weekly carrier invoices, identifying and recovering overcharges, billing errors, and service failures. Soon thereafter, I leveraged my experience analyzing and evaluating hundreds of carrier pricing programs to help shippers negotiate competitive pricing contracts. I can now humbly claim that I've consulted with some of the most recognizable household brands by renegotiating their carrier contracts, reducing their shipping costs an average of 19%. I really enjoy educating the marketplace. I've authored dozens of transportation-related articles and have enjoyed being quoted in various media outlets. So it's fair to say I'm proud and passionate about being an advocate for shippers. I'm also extremely focused on building a best-in-class organization with Shipware that was and is established by putting the needs and interests of Shipware clients first. So, studies have proven there's a direct correlation between shipping costs and lifetime customer value, or the cost to obtain and retain your customers. So shipping costs are not just another line item in your budget. Competitive shipping costs are essential for your business to not only survive, but really thrive. So truly, it can be either a competitive advantage or a liability. With this content today, I want to position you to deliver a winning competitive advantage to your team, your boss, and your company. So as it relates also to the content, my company, Shipware, and I have been renegotiating carrier contracts on behalf of shippers to achieve best-in-class pricing. And we've been doing this for 2 decades. So I've seen everything from $50,000 a year pricing programs to $500 million a year pricing programs. We evaluate dozens of programs a week. There's nothing I haven't seen, evaluated, analyzed, and negotiated. Consequently, I've seen the many negotiation mistakes and honest oversights made by shippers like yourself. We're going to uncover those most costly pitfalls today so that you can better navigate your next negotiation. You may ask, why? What's the challenge? Well, obviously, no shipper would knowingly leave money behind or overspend when they negotiate their parcel and LTL agreements. If you're like most shippers, you feel like you have competitive carrier pricing. The operative word there is feel. You aren't 100% certain because you can't compare or contrast your rates against what's available in the marketplace, right? And the carrier reps are commissioned on margin, so they are motivated and trained to make you feel like you got the best rates, one side of the Mississippi, when in fact, you are likely overpaying and overpaying significantly. Additionally, most businesses negotiate parcel and LTL contracts maybe once a year. So their experience with these contracts are extremely limited. The carriers can increase your shipping costs without notifying you or changing your contract. They do this by adjusting the service guide every year, known as the general rate increase. And in recent years, the carriers have been making mid-year policy changes as well. There's accessorials, dimensional billing, minimum charges that all negatively impact your costs. We'll dive into some of these nuances today. It's also worth noting that over time, and with the evolution of technology, the carrier's pricing strategies have become more complex and more one-sided. The carriers are focused on margin more than ever before, and they're structured their pricing around quote-unquote cost to serve model, which means they will use their technology and analysts to understand what it costs them to move your shipments through their network before they even propose pricing, all in an effort to protect their margins. So your unique shipping characteristics, such as dimensions, accessorials incurred, volume, weight, zones, service usage, pickup density and delivery density, seasonality, and so much more, really all impact what type of pricing you get from your carrier. So no two carrier contracts are alike. It's not as simple as the more you ship, the better pricing you receive. And to that end, I've literally seen shippers that spend $2 million a year with better pricing than a $15 million a year shipper. It's simply not a level playing field. So in this complexity, these carrier contracts, there's over 250 items to negotiate. Any given contract lay both landmines as well as opportunities. You must know where and what to look for, as well as what the carriers can accommodate. Most shippers just aren't aware on either front. Consequently, costly mistakes are made. Let's dive in and discuss a few. The first one I'd like to discuss is what I call discount tunnel vision. Contracts can range in size from as short as a few pages to as many as 85 pages. Generally, the better your contract, the lengthier it is, because you simply need the space to address dozens upon dozens of materially impacting items. However, one common mistake most shippers incur is that despite all the terms and conditions contained in the agreement, the focus tends to be on just discounts. Let's unpack why this works against you. So in this slide, you can see there's an example of what I call discount mitigation. And this slide actually comes from one of our complementary analysis. More on that later. The red column is displaying what has been negotiated, and what's been negotiated in black and white within your carrier contract. The blue column, on the other hand, is displaying what discount is actually being received and applied to each package. So what's happening? Why the discount mitigation? Let's discuss. So the minimum charge essentially has not been negotiated to alleviate negative impact. As you can see here, 65.5% of all ground residential shipments are negatively impacted, and almost half of all ground commercial shipments are affected. Let's explore further. Here are the list rates for both ground commercial and residential. Every package is priced on a zone and weight matrix like you see here. Zones across the top, Zone 2 is up to 150 miles from pickup to delivery location, and Zone 8 is 1,800 miles from pickup to delivery location. Weights are listed down the left. I capped it at 25 pounds for the sake of this exercise. So, once we apply the negotiated discounts to the list rates, this chart that you're seeing now is displaying the net rates, which looks very attractive. But the minimum charge, or think of the minimum charge as the floor of pricing, it has not been applied yet. So let's apply the minimum charge and you can see what happens. Here, we see that minimum charge being applied, and all the cells highlighted in red are not taking full advantage of the discount negotiated in the shipper's contract. This next slide demonstrates what discounts the shipper is actually receiving per zone and per weight. So your takeaway is to make sure you conduct an analysis to understand the exact impact minimum charge is having on your unique shipping profile. And the minimum charge is applied to every service that you use. Now, the next mistake or common oversight I'd like to explore is what I call pricing cliff. So most contracts have volume-based discounts with upper and lower thresholds. Overlooking the threshold bandwidth could inadvertently allow pricing to fall into what I call a step-down tier. The lower tiered pricing is typically second rate and far inferior compared to the targeted volume-based discount tier. Notice in this snapshot of a carrier agreement what happens if the shipper drops their volume by just a couple tiers. Maybe look at 3-day, for example, 3-day select service. It's a loss of 14 percentage points, which actually has an impact of 2 or 3 to 1 percentage point. So much more costly than just the 14 points you see here. However, look what happens if they increase their volume by 2 tiers. No reciprocal upside. The next oversight I'd like to explore with you is overlooked accessorials. In this analysis, we're evaluating the impact of all accessorials incurred. At 39% or 39 cents on every dollar, this is just too high, and it can and should be curtailed. However, this is becoming more and more challenging when the carriers grow the menu of accessorials every year. Additionally, each of those individual accessorials will increase year over year as well. The top half of this screen depicts all accessorial concessions previously negotiated. While you see 7 line items, this actually only represents 2 different accessorials, which is residential surcharge and DAS, or delivery area surcharge. Now, how can that be? Well, these 2 accessorials, there are multiple categories for each of them. Here's an example in the next slide. How many accessorials do you think this represents? It's actually just 1, but the 25% discount is covering all services and categories. So back to this original slide on this topic, drawing your attention to the lower half of the slide. This is a chart also pulled from one of our complementary analyses to help determine accessorial impact. You can see the 2 accessorials with concessions at the top, but their incentive percentage or discount received doesn't align with the black and white contract discounts above. That is because accessorials in their entirety have been completely overlooked. Draw your attention to AHS and LPS, which is additional handling surcharge, and LPS is large package surcharge. These 2 accessorials amount to $400,000 in costs. Are they negotiable items? Yes. And so is every other accessorial on this list. But still, none of these accessorials found any relief within the shipper's carrier contract. This next common pitfall and oversight is what I call strong concessions misplaced. It's the need to focus your negotiation effort. So it's not uncommon to see competitive concessions or discounts within a contract only to realize upon further analysis that there's little to no financial impact from this concession. As you can see here, another snapshot from one of our analysis, this client was very proud about the work that went into procuring the highlighted discounts in Next Day Air and Next Day Air Saver. Unfortunately, upon reviewing our analysis, it became clear that the effort simply did not generate a material impact because the majority of their volume was contained in other service areas such as SurePost and international export. The next oversight is negotiating in piecemeal. What I mean by that is you don't want to negotiate each concession one at a time. It's really important you consolidate all requests and form a strong business case justifying the requests. Additionally, loyalty. Loyalty is also an oversight and a mistake made by most shippers. Sadly, long-term loyalty is not rewarded. A relationship between a shipper and their carrier is critically important. The relationship may have been initiated with competitive pricing. However, sustaining competitive pricing is difficult when the current carrier doesn't feel the business is ever at risk due to loyalty. Add to that the annual GRI, or general rate increase, and mid-year policy changes that have a dramatic impact on shippers' bottom line. It doesn't take long for a competitive carrier pricing program to lose its edge. So the underlying message of all these oversights and pitfalls is really to arm yourself with knowledge first. It all starts with a thorough and comprehensive analysis. If you understand your unique shipping profile and conduct a thorough analysis of your shipping data, if performed properly, will certainly uncover areas of focus for maximum financial impact on your negotiation. You might find it worthwhile to know that at Shipware, we've hired the same pricing analysts that used to work for the major carriers, but now they desire to help shippers like yourself. We currently have over 200 combined years of carrier pricing experience on our team. Imagine if you could have a former carrier pricing analyst review your current carrier contract pricing. I mean, if you're still listening, we'll extend this very offer to you at no cost or obligation to you. So if I may, I'll take a quick pause. If you want to know what to look for or know for certain how your carrier pricing stacks up, if you're interested in understanding the carrier's perspective or profitability on your account, if you're interested in knowing where the landmines exist and where the savings opportunity exists, then we will extend a comprehensive and complementary analysis that will certainly deliver valuable insight on all these items. All you need to do is enter your information below for this free analysis. Here's our promise to you. If we can't identify savings, we'll pay you $10,000. Serious, no joke. So please listen, it's all upside for you because you'll either get a customized, relevant, and valuable analysis, which, by the way, takes our team anywhere between 10 and 20 hours to put together for you. And we will detail the saving strategies and the improvement opportunities. Or, worst case scenario, we simply can't identify the savings, and you will have, one, peace of mind knowing that you've got best-in-class pricing, which is valuable in and of itself, and two, you'll have a $10,000 check signed by me and in the mail to you. If you're interested, all you need to do is enter your info below. So at Shipware, we provide contract negotiation support to protect our clients from these oversights. Our hope is that this complimentary and comprehensive analysis reveals a working opportunity between your company and ours. But you aren't obligated to proceed. We're taking the first step towards you with this analysis, and we're backing it with $10,000. Furthermore, because our decades of experience drawing on insider carrier pricing knowledge and our robust analytics, we can pinpoint what discounts you should have on transportation charges, accessorials like fuel, residential fees, delivery area surcharge, dimensional pricing, minimum charges, and many more. And we know how to most favorably structure these contracts to eliminate gotchas and punitive language. We protect our clients from future increases and maximize revenue-based incentives. A Shipware team would be dedicated and assigned to your account and will guide you through the entire renegotiation process, utilizing our expertise and analytics to drive towards a best-in-class status. Generally, it's a 10 to 30% savings improvement over the existing pricing. All this is done with no disruption to your current operations and no required change in carriers. A quick and fun fact, some of the snapshots of the preliminary analysis seen earlier in this webinar comes from a shipper that took advantage of our in-depth analysis review. This online retailer was spending $21.5 million a year with one of the major carriers and was certain there was no more room for improvement with their current carrier pricing until they reviewed the analysis we produced for them. Long story short, this Shipware ended up hiring Shipware. We assigned them a dedicated team consisting of expert consultants and analysts that guided them through the entire negotiation process to ultimately achieve $4.3 million in total savings, which equaled a 20% improvement on pricing that was originally thought impossible to improve. According to the shipper, what they most appreciated was the time savings. The entire process required no more than 7 hours of their time, and they remained with their current carrier. And of course, the big win was all the found money that could go back to their budget, which allowed them to improve warehouse operations, making them more efficient. I'll also say that our contact rightfully took all the credit. Sharing the cost savings win with their colleagues and boss was a nice career boost for that person. It's these type of success stories that motivate us to offer a $10,000 backed analysis. Essentially, we need to understand your unique shipping profile and current pricing, which allows us to identify the savings opportunity. You never know. You may be that 1 out of 10 carrier programs we evaluate that are simply already at best-in-class status, in which case you'll have, as I mentioned earlier, a valuable analysis relevant to your business. You'll also have peace of mind knowing no savings have been left on the table. And you'll also have a $10,000 check in your bank account. So just enter your information below and we'll take it from there. We'll start by collecting a few weeks of Parcel and or LTL invoice data. And our cutting-edge technology and analytics team will then model the data into a specific format designed to bring to the surface all meaningful nuances that typically have cost-saving implications. Subsequently, a consultant from our professional services team will spend hours getting familiar with your shipping profile and your specific rates and terms. Then this consultant will schedule a conference call to review the analysis and the results of our findings. We'll transparently discuss anywhere from a dozen to a few dozen areas of improvement, and will generate meaningful savings. We'll also review Shipware's process and timelines on this call. After that call, we typically work towards mutually agreeable terms. Then, Shipware will reveal the targeted pricing, and the specific rates and concessions you deserve. But more importantly, we provide the entire blueprint on how we're going to drive the savings through our process. We'll have a strategy call to wrap our arms around your business objectives and business development. These developments will typically impact your shipping profile and will necessitate adjustments to our drafted pricing targets. Then, we'll combine what we learned from the analysis and our strategy call to build a strong business case utilizing unique points of leverage to motivate the carrier's revenue management team to respond with competitive pricing. Once the business case with pricing targets is issued, the carriers will respond with a proposed agreement, which, by the way, a black and white agreement is impossible for most shippers to understand what the true financial impact is. So again, we'll leverage our technology and analytics to conduct a precise financial impact analysis. This will translate to a line-by-line financial impact savings report. We will then customize and draft feedback depending on that result, and the carriers will respond accordingly. And we'll continue till we are sure you've achieved best-in-class pricing agreement with the carriers. It's through this back-tested process, our expertise, and our cutting-edge technology that we're able to align strategies with each client and drive superior savings. One common question I get is, how long does this take? And I've got other pressing initiatives. Well, the entire process takes somewhere between 4 to 8 weeks. And the good news is that it requires no more than 5 to 10 hours of your time from start to finish. We manage everything for you, so you can focus on those other initiatives. Once the new carrier agreement that you've signed is in place, we'll audit for carrier and contract compliance, ensuring the rates that we've worked so hard to negotiate are applied on every shipment and every charge. And then throughout the term of our engagement, we'll conduct quarterly business reviews to ensure you are continually optimized. We'll regularly renegotiate with the carriers. And the reasons to renegotiate can vary, but a couple common reasons would be your shipping profile has shifted, or more commonly, the carriers have decided to assess new fees. And certainly the annual rate increase needs to be addressed every year. Again, our process does not mean that you will change carriers. In fact, it's roughly 85% of our clients remain with their current carrier, in which case there's literally zero disruption to your current operation. So if you're interested in connecting with us to discuss your current carrier pricing, please get in touch with us by entering your information below. We'd love to be a valuable resource for you. That's all the time we have left today, so I just want to thank everyone for joining me, and I hope you got some value out of the information I shared. I look forward to connecting with you soon.